In game two, you're looking for different things, try different things.
Well, hopefully we can have some carryover of some of the good things we did, whether it was our pace, whether it was our shot selection, the way we moved the basketball, when we got to the free throw line. Some of those things you want to carry over. Good things defensively also. So, but at the same time, get better in some areas also that we've addressed in practice.
You mentioned that depth and versatility are two of the strengths of this team. How much experimenting are you going to do in the preseason, trying different rotations, different groupings, things like that?
We'll definitely do that early before we settle into a rotation. A little difficult to do with the guys that are injured, so it kind of forces us to try some different rotations. We'll see it more than like a different starting lineup tomorrow night.
Mm-hmm. You had, I guess, maybe 5-6 practices getting to see Vic play before he got hurt. Did you see any new wrinkles? Did you see a new confidence, a new, even more cerebral approach in that time?
I definitely think I don't want to say new confidence, but a greater confidence level. I think he really worked on his body in the offseason. He worked on his game, and when you feel good about yourself, a lot of times that parlays into how your game is played. And I definitely think his ability to get the ball up the floor, his ball handling is better, his shooting seemed to be improved. So definitely some improvement.
Jacque, we all know Kyle's story about being a late to the game, kind of a late bloomer. Do you see him being more instinctual, where plays are coming natural and he's not having to think about it first?
There was always that underneath the surface with Kyle, you saw with the way he was able to pass the basketball. That stuff is instinctual. Mm-hmm. I think the game is literally slowing down for him, which helps him throughout the course of the game. And he's playing catch up, but he's done an awfully good job of making up ground and being a reliable basketball player.
Do you sometimes shake your head at where he's, where you got him 2 years ago and where he is now? I mean, it's almost night and day.
Well, it's pretty impressive the effort that he's given to get himself there. He was really good this off season, getting his body in shape, and it showed his physicality on the floor, the way he's able to see things. So he's grown up.
What were some of the areas that you saw on film when you reviewed the game tape that you want to see toned up a little bit tomorrow night?
Well, different areas. I think we can pick second chance points, being able to keep guys off the board, only give them one opportunity. Our transition defense can be better. The communication, which is two ways, being vocal, but also being good listeners at the same time in transition. So that's a really difficult task to get better at, because it's so random in the course of a game that I can't simulate it in practice. But we can get better with the communication part of it.
Including with the fact that you're forced to mix your lineups, basically, especially with these injuries. It kind of cuts down on the continuity of communication.
Well, hopefully we can gain some ground that way. I think they see the importance of it, especially when you're not whole and healthy as a group. That everyone really needs to be, on task every single possession.
Coach, happy with your rookies coming out of game one and going into Friday night's game?
I think the most impressive thing is they jumped into the game and enjoyed the competition. All three of them, and so that was the immediate thing that jumped out at me, and I was pretty impressed with that.
What about Alfred in particular? Is there any awe, is there any intimidation with this kid whatsoever?
I think you saw the first possession of the game, just the way he sat down in his defensive stance. He was ready to play. You take an instinctive bounce pass that he threw to Kyle O'Quinn, great read throughout the course of the game, the composure that he had down the stretch. Good night for him.
Coach, you've probably been asked this several times before in recent weeks, but how important going into the season are veterans like Ben and Luke and Channing with such a young team otherwise?
Extremely important. It's just natural, and for a guy, for you to have, for you to be settled in your surroundings. So our young players have been with us for a few years, and for our veterans to come and say that this league is extremely difficult for you to stay around 10 years, 12 years, and we have guys on our roster who've done that. And how do you get to that point? And how do you appreciate each day? And how do you appreciate the minutes that you're trying to earn? The message can come from me, but when it comes from a veteran teammate who's been in other locker rooms, played with other great players, it resonates more, inside that locker room.
Coach, we talked about Alfred, but ideally, as the point guard, how do you want him to run the offense and just operate the team as a whole?
There always has to be a level of confidence with the guy who has the basketball in his hands, because ultimately he's initiating the offense, whether it's calling the plays, whether it's how fast he got the ball up the floor, whether it's who he decided to get the ball to. So that confidence level has to be there every single night, and that's why the position is so tough.
Given your point guard background, how has Alfred handled the workload, and do you feel confident that you can continue to push him as the preseason progresses?
I definitely feel that he can accept more, and we'll continue to challenge him. He's done a great job so far of really wanting to handle more and just coming in every day, just being green and ready to accept and learn.
Jacque, last year you were busy coaching, but when Vic made his regular season debut in Indiana, they gave him a standing O. Did you have a chance to kind of take that in to see kind of this enduring bond between Indianans and Vic and other guys that they really seem to love?
I think it's a place that great basketball. And Vic, his time at Indiana, he was a guy that played extremely hard. It's one of the reasons we drafted him. And the fans in Indiana, they appreciate good basketball and good basketball players.
Coach, another rookie, Devin Marble, really came up big in 14 minutes of play and big in the overtime with those threes. Do you expect to have an expanded role tomorrow night after that performance?
We'll continue to kind of adjust our lineups a little bit as we go in preseason. The best thing that Devin did was he was ready. You leave the game and the coach watches tape and he was pretty good in his minutes, and so he did his job. That's what he's supposed to do. Make it tough for me. Make me want to think about putting him in the game earlier.
Coach, just coming back to the veteran players again, just one quickly. Have you had any conversations with any of them, particularly someone like Ben, to talk to them about their off-court role as much as their on-court role?
Without a doubt. Talk to every individual on our team and how they fit and what we're trying to do. He's a guy you take, for example, today. A little insight, but he and Tobias were shooting this morning already before practice. The fact that he's creating a routine and showing our players how important it is to have a routine and how that benefits your game and back-to-back 3 and 5 nights to stay with your routine and fight and resist the challenge of being comfortable. This is a guy, he doesn't have to get early shots right now. But those examples continue to make our group grow and be better basketball players.
Thanks, Coach.
Tobias mentioned the other night how him and